Welcome to the first look at my OrgRoam V2 Second Brain, my Zettelkasten, and my personal knowledge management system, whatever you'd like to call it. And right now you're looking at a plain org file. You can see that it supports file tags. So I have MOC for map of content here. And for the context of this video, that just means that this is an index file. So it's not any atomic piece of information within the network. It is an index pointing to multiple nodes within the network itself. Now, speaking of nodes and connections, I'm going to be making use of OrgRoam UI to visualize the nodes within my network and the connections between them. And let's actually dig into one of these nodes here. This is my calculus node. It's fairly empty. It's also a map of content. And I can actually visualize it locally. So we can see now that I have this calculus node that is originating from mathematics and pointing to limits. All right, let's dig into this limits map of content. And we can see here that there's quite a few nodes that are originating from this limits node. Now, what I want to be able to do now is add a little bit more structure to this. And I can do this by adding a unique UUID to each of these headings within the org file. OrgRoam is using these UUIDs to keep track of these nodes within the database. So I'm now going to add one. Now I could use the command orgid get create, and you see that this has created a properties drawer and assigned it a unique UUID. And we can see that the graph has been updated as well. So limits is now pointing to limit definition. So I just saved the file and it gets updated automatically. I'm going to do the same thing for infinite limits here, except that I'm going to go space uppercase I to include this unique ID with that node. And now we can see more structure here. I can see that limit definitions is now pointing to infinite limits. So we're giving a little bit more structure to the network. And I'm going to do this one more time now with limit laws. So again, we're just going to create a property drawer that automatically has this unique UUID value. And after saving the buffer, we can see that the network is automatically updated. Let's move into these limit laws. In fact, let's create a new node. Now, this information is coming from an old tech file that I'm in the process of migrating over to this OrgRoam system. So I have this limit of a product, which I'm now going to import. And so let's get back in here. And now I actually want to create the node so I can link to it. This is where my process differs a little bit because I'm now going to fire up eShell so that I can run a Python script. And that's going to not only create our org file, but it's also going to create all the supporting tech files that I'm going to need. Now, we don't need to know how this script works. We just need to trust that it does work. And this script is called 0-gen files. And the first thing that this is going to prompt me for is whether I want to manually or automatically create a tag ID. I've been using tag IDs for a few years now to identify information on my system. And in this case, a unique ID has already been created, 0181. And I'm going to now include that. And this turns out to be a very powerful part of my organization system so that I can reference things very quickly. Do I want to use this ID? Yes. And then I'm going to enter the org file schema. And I stole this from Dendron, which is an extension for VS Code. And basically you can think of this as a hierarchy of where the information is being stored. This does not need to be unique. I can create an alias later on. I just need one to create the file. I'm going to enter a title. This is the one that will be included in the org file. And then it'll ask me, do I want something different for my tech title? And in this case, I just want the same title. And this was a law, so I choose 8. And boom, all the files are now created. Now I want to be able to insert this node. I want to be able to create a link to this OrgRoam file. And if I try to search for it now, I can either use the command org-roam node insert, or there is a key binding for this as well. You'll see that it's not there. 0181 brings up nothing, and that's because I haven't refreshed the database. So let's go ahead and sync our database. And now when I go searching for this, so 0181, I see that I can bring up the node and insert it. And that's one of the beauties of this 4-digit alphanumeric code, is things are just so easy to look up and insert. Let's go ahead and check out our graph. Yeah, it's been updated. There is our limit of a product law node. All right, let's get in and check out this org file now that's been created by the Python script. We can see in the property drawer that an ID has been added, and even some aliases. A tag has been added. Now, what hasn't been added is the text slide image, which I use as a quick reference to get an overview of what is in this node of content. And I'm actually going to start populating this node by going to the English core file. And this is a tech file. It's no longer an org file, it's a tech file. And I'm just going to copy this tech code and paste it in here. Let's go ahead and format that, and maybe just go ahead and fix this alignment here. Perfect. So this is a tech file. And what's really cool is that when I go back to my org file, I can actually transclude this tech code in my org file. I mean, this is what drove me to org-roam, this transclusion idea. Look at that. There is my tech code. I can edit it right from my org file. That is a game changer for me. And it is just so convenient. Now look at this. When I go into my tech slides, Python automatically created the code for this, and I can run it, and there it is. I have a slide ready to be included in a slide deck. I also can take that tech code and put it in my notes. I could include it into an exam if I wanted to. It's super modular, and there is that 4-digit alphanumeric code that is just everywhere, so easy to reference. I love this system. And there you have it, an introduction to my second brain using org-roam v2. My name is Mark. Thank you for watching.